Bro, let me ask you, we can stay on basketball.
Okay.
You saw that the WNBA kicked off their season, and of course, capitalizing on rivalry, they have the Indiana Fever versus the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese versus
Caitlin.
Caitlin Clark. All right, so and just like that, it becomes a big deal because Caitlin Clark gives a nice little hard foul on Angel Reese, and then it just kind of blows up after that. Chatty, whatever, whatever. My thing is this though, bro. Is this something, or is this or even bad publicity for the WNBA is good? What do you make of the? Is this just rivalry, or is this just publicity?
It's both. I mean, the thing is that people love a good scuffle. And then, of course, people are going to make it even racial. And then, the thing is there's no debate on who's better or who they play different positions, right? In my opinion, it was just a foul. It was just a hard
I
foul.
didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah. The reaction was like, eh, eh, you know, and then of course you but like I said, when people make it racial, it's angry black girl. You know what I'm saying? Caitlin Clark does not even have a history of being a player like that, right? She's competitive.
Wait. That's part of the issue because part of the issue is that people look at her history and think differently, and they think, well, if Angel Reese did the same thing as she angry young black woman versus Caitlin Clark doing something, and they say, oh, that's just a competitive spirit.
Again, that's not what happened though. So I understand that this isn't a racial issue. This is two basketball players that came out at the same time that are going to get the comparisons because of the fact of who they are. They had a rivalry in school. So it's just a continual rivalry. That's all it is. This ain't racial. This ain't no if Angel Reese would have did it, it would have been angry black girl. No. Caitlin Clark has been competitive. She's playing consistent like she's been playing. She's competitive. To me, I thought I had the person in my head on thought process on the fire that she brings as far as like how would that translate to an NBA player. But no, she's I again, to me it didn't look like a I'm trying to hurt you foul. Was it a harder foul? Okay. And I even heard people say, well, it was get back because Angel Reese pushed somebody from her team or whatever like that. I,
I like this. I saw Jamel Hill respond to this.
mhm.
And she said one of the problems that they do is that it feels like the rivalry in itself is being somewhat forced, but one sided because Caitlin Clark only gets asked about Angel Reese when they're about to play or after a game that they played. Whereas to Angel Reese is basically it's brought up to her more frequently, right? And it's almost like not allowing her to have her own greatness be defined by her own merit, right? It's being defined by this rivalry with her, someone who she doesn't play the same position with, though, bro. But I agree with you that ultimately, right? We wasn't talking about the WNBA 2 years ago, right? And if this doesn't happen, I don't necessarily know that we're talking about the WNBA yet. So I do think that it does add to it being a pop culture conversation now. So I think that to me, I didn't think that the foul in itself was bad. But because I don't think the foul in itself was bad and it still has pop culture talking about it, I do think that it's good for the WNBA. If you want to call it rivalry, if you want to call it a tough rivalry, I could totally see from Angel Reese's perspective and even Caitlin Clark's perspective as well that why y'all keep bringing her up with me. At the same time, it's like it's that scenario that some publicity is better than none, and I don't see why this wouldn't do anything but enhance the coverage for the WNBA, though, bro.
100%. That's all it is to me. It just feels like, you know, two spectacular women that's enhancing the game for the WNBA, bringing more eyes, more attention, which is kind of what we talked about even a little while ago when we got all these vets that have built the WNBA to what it is, but you had somebody who has this type of cultural phenomenon associated with them that took it to a different level. I mean, it's the whole conversation why we were saying why Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark wasn't on Team USA at the time, because they were so piping hot popularity wise.
Yeah.
These two are polarizing characters for the WNBA, and they have pushed it to a new trajectory. And yeah,
I think totally, bro. I think that the best thing the WNBA can do is really push this like a Bird and Magic rivalry. And even the Bird and Magic rivalry still had the racial undertones, but it only helped that Bird could just flat out hoop. And the fact that Caitlin Clark can flat out hoop, and Bird and Magic played different positions. I don't think they ever really had to guard each other at all. But it was what the NBA needed at that particular time. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. If I'm the WNBA, I ride it organically as long as I can, though, bro.
absolutely, absolutely, nothing
Yeah,
more though. Because I mean, again,
yeah,
being upset. I mean, maybe she was upset because they was losing that bad, but you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
she.
Hey,
Hey, speaking of which, before we get off of it, shoot, they said that the Fever. I mean, the Fever. Their home game, all their home games are sold out, bro. Sold out.